Welcome to the podcast summary of Mario Balotelli. Mario Balotelli's career is one of those football stories that still feels unresolved, even though we've all watched so much of it play out. He had the gifts, the medals, the huge moments, and also the chaos, the stops and starts, and the feeling that something bigger was always just out of reach. He's a player who can't really be summed up by one label. The talent was obvious, the racism he endured was real and relentless. And the gap between what he did achieve and what people thought he should achieve is what keeps the debate around him alive. On pure ability, Balotelli had almost everything: pace, strength, aerial power, finishing with either foot, thunderous set pieces, and that slightly unnerving calm in front of goal when he was locked in. The penalties are a perfect little snapshot of him. He scored 38 of 43 in his professional career, and for a long stretch he was seen as one of the best penalty takers in the game, which tells you how clean his technique and nerve could be. But the larger career never consistently rose to that level. For all the physical and technical tools, there were the same complaints again and again about movement, work rate, discipline, and whether he really trusted the grind that top players live on. Roberto Mancini kept insisting he could become one of Europe's best. Steven Gerrard went the other way and called him a spectacular waste of talent. That's the whole Balotelli argument sitting right there. Was it tactical, psychological, self-inflicted, or some messy combination of all three? Balotelli's story matters beyond football because his identity was never treated as simple by the country he wanted to represent. He was born in Palermo to Ghanaian immigrants, raised by an Italian foster family, and couldn't even get Italian citizenship until he turned 18. He rejected Ghana's senior call-up in 2007 because he wanted Italy, full stop. That decision said a lot about how he saw himself, even while other people kept trying to debate it for him. He became the first black player to appear for Italy in a major tournament, which is a football fact, but also a cultural one. And when he scored twice against Germany in the Euro 2012 semifinal, he dedicated it to his foster mother Sylvia, the Jewish daughter of Holocaust survivors. It's one of those details that reminds you his life story. Cuts across nationality, race, family, migration, and memory all at once. No wonder he carried symbolic weight whether he wanted to or not. Racial abuse followed him through far too much of his career. There were incidents involving Juventus, Roma, Croatia supporters, Bastia, Verona, and Lazio. And those are just the cases that became formal public stories. Some brought fines or stadium closures, but the punishments often felt tiny compared with the seriousness of the abuse. A €20,000 fine here, a limited sanction there, and football once again acting like racism is an unfortunate sideshow instead of a central failure. Balotelli became one of the clearest examples of how the sport loves the labor and spectacle of black players while still struggling or refusing to protect them properly. That part of his career shouldn't get lost behind the memes and the highlight reels. If you had to point to the Balotelli tournament, it's Euro 2012. He scored 3 goals, made the team of the tournament, finished joint top scorer, and gave Italy its biggest night with those 2 goals in the semifinal against Germany. That image from the second goal is still one of the lasting football photos of that era. Shirt off, muscles out, expression like he'd been carved from stone 5 minutes earlier. Not much postman energy there, to be honest. And yet, even in that tournament, the volatility was always nearby. He was poor in the group stage at times. People were calling for Antonio Di Natale to replace him. And after he scored against Ireland, Leonardo Bonucci actually covered his mouth during the celebration, so he wouldn't say something controversial. His overall Italy record was good and strangely short. 36 caps, 14 goals, including the winner against England at the 2014 World Cup, and then after Italy went out early in Brazil, his international chances thinned out for a long time. The club career is where the instability really shows up. After the early high of Inter's 2010 treble and Manchester City's 2012 title, the next years became a chain of fresh starts: AC Milan, Liverpool, Nice, Marseille, Brescia, Monza, Adana Demirspor, Sion, Genoa, Al Ittifaq. That kind of list tells its own story. Sometimes it means reinvention. Sometimes it means nobody has found a way to keep the relationship working for long. Liverpool was the low point in that stretch. He scored just 4 goals in 28 appearances, fell out of Jurgen Klopp's plans, and later called joining Liverpool the worst mistake of his life. Nice was the revival that briefly made people wonder again. He scored 4 goals in his first 2 League One appearances, and then hit a career-best 18 league goals in 2017-18, which earned him an Italy recall. But even there, it didn't settle. Conflict with Patrick Vieira and poor fitness helped end that spell, and the pattern returned. You still got flashes later on. He scored with his first touch for Monza, and with his first touch for Al Ittefaq, which is such a Balotelli detail. Instant impact, immediate reminder of the quality, and then not much lasting stability after that. Part of why Balotelli remains so vivid is that the off-field mythology grew almost as fast as the football. Some of it was real. Firing air pistols in Milan, visiting a women's prison, throwing darts at a youth player, and setting off fireworks that fed into the famous "Why Always Me" shirt. But some of the legend was fake too. Stories that he confronted a school bully or handed a homeless man £1,000 turned out not to be true, which says a lot about how tabloids treated him. Once the character exists, rumor starts getting published like fan fiction, with a press pass. Even his own quotes played into it. He once said he didn't celebrate goals because scoring was just his job, like a postman delivering letters. It was a very Balotelli line, dry and deadpan, and then somehow made funnier by the fact that one of his most famous goal celebrations was him flexing shirtless on one of the biggest nights of his life. The reason people still argue so much about Balotelli is that he actually did achieve a lot. 3 Serie A titles, the Champions League with Inter, an FA Cup and a Premier League with Manchester City, the 2010 Golden Boy Award, Euro 2012 Team of the Tournament, and 156 club goals in the supplied stats. He was decisive in major moments too. He was man of the match in the 2011 FA Cup final, and he supplied the assist for Sergio Aguero's stoppage time title winner against QPR in 2012, which is one of the most replayed moments in Premier League history. So calling him a failure is too easy and honestly, too lazy. But calling the career fulfilled doesn't quite sit right either, because the sense of unrealized scale never goes away. Maybe the fairest way to put it is that Balotelli had a real career, a decorated one, and also an unfinished one in the imagination. He gave football enough brilliance to be remembered, and enough frustration to keep the what-if alive. Balotelli's career is a reminder that talent tells you what a player can be, not what a player will become. And sometimes the story that lasts is the space between those two things. He was too good to be reduced to the chaos, and too chaotic to ever be discussed only as a goal scorer. That tension is still the whole conversation. This episode was generated by Podkey. Create your own at podkey.fm.